So I don't want you to waste 5 years of your life like I did. In order to become an aircraft maintenance engineer, you want to know the right pathway. And unfortunately, in YouTube, I can't find a single video that provides value. Don't get me wrong, there are brilliant videos out there, but what I am looking is something that I wish I had back then when I started. My name is Dinwanga Watta and I'm an aeronautical engineer, ex-aircraft engineer, and I've been featured on New York Post, Arizona Central, Great Event Sastran Show, and much more. And I'm also the founder of AeroLaunch, which is an aviation consultancy who helps students find the approved aircraft maintenance schools and also professionals find jobs, as well as social media doing inspirational videos so that you fall in love with what I fell in love 10 years ago. So without further ado, let's get to the video. So how to become a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer? I believe you should have a pen and paper right now because I want you to write this down on a piece of paper and put it somewhere that you can see. Okay? There is a framework I use on all students, and that is called C-DELT. What is C-DELT? C is category, T is training, E is experience, L is license, and T is type training. So remember this framework. I'm going to break it down one by one in this video. So let's start with C, category. Now the reason there's a gap between the C and T is because sometimes people don't identify that C is very important. What is C? Category. Like, what does this mean? Category means what is the category of aircraft that you want to be an aircraft maintenance engineer in. There are two main categories. There are a few more, but the main ones are B1 and B2. Now B1 is mechanical systems of an aircraft. So if you want to remove a landing gear, or if you want to remove a wheel, or if you want to remove an engine, or if you want to troubleshoot mechanical systems, B1 is the pathway. And B2 is avionics. Okay, avionics means electrical, electronics, communication and navigation systems of an aircraft. So if you are more into electronic side of things, I ask you to consider B2. Now, B1 is broken down into 5 subcategories. B1.1, which means fixed wing aircraft fitted with turbine engines. And B1.2, fixed wing aircraft fitted with piston engines. B1.3, rotary wing aircraft fitted with turbine engines. B1.4, rotary wing aircraft fitted with piston engines. And B1.E, which was introduced February 2026, aircrafts fitted with electric power plants, which are MTOW 5,700 kilograms and below. What does MTW means? Maximum takeoff weight. So let's dive a bit deep into B1.1. Now B1.1, I said fixed wing fitted with turbine engines. Now these are gas turbine engines. You can find these types of engines on Airbus A320 or aircraft that is operated by Emirates, Qatar, British Airways, all these big airliners. And also it can be a turboprop aircraft, something like a Q400 or an ATR 42 or 72 type aircraft. These are B1.1 category aircraft. B1.2 is aircraft fitted with piston engines. Can be a Cessna 172. Those aircraft where student pilots train to become pilots are B1.2 type aircrafts. And B1.3, you must have seen AgustaWestland 139. They are B1.3, and also Robinson helicopters there, B1.4. Next one is training. Usually category and training goes together. But here I broke them down into 2 pieces because not all categories can be done on all schools. There can be one school who are only specializing in B1.1 type aircraft. There can be other schools who are only specialized in B1.2 or B1.3. Or there can be some schools, they have multiple categories. So it is important to understand your category before finding your school. There are 3 pathways to become a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer. Number 1 is approved Part 147 schools. Who are they approved by? Within Europe, we call them, they're approved by EASA. If your country is UK, for example, it needs to be approved by the Civil Aviation Authority of UK. And if your country is Australia, it needs to be approved by EASA, that's the competent authority for Australia. If you're from Sri Lanka, India, you have your own Civil Aviation Authority. But if you want to become an aircraft maintenance engineer in Europe, then you need to find a EASA 147. Currently, there are 31 member states under EASA. This might change. So you can go to any of these countries and find a Part 147. Make sure they have the authority to do your category and book yourself into the program. Okay, that's the easiest way. Second method is following a skilled trade training, which is approved under the National Aviation Authority. Now, under EASA, I did mention there are 31 countries. Okay, there are 31 member states. Now, they all abide by this EASA regulation. However, they have their own mini civil aviation authorities within their country. For example, Italy got ENAC, Malta got Transport Malta, and Spain, Germany, they have their own national aviation authorities. Now, within those national aviation authorities, if there are training that is approved by their national aviation authority, then you can also become an aircraft maintenance engineer. Now, the next one is non-approved schools or private aircraft maintenance engineer student. Now, I went to a non-approved school. I wasted 5 years of my life where I should have gone to 147, but I did not have that knowledge when I was back then researching about aircraft maintenance engineering. Hence this video. Or if you're someone who's working in another trade, want to come into aircraft maintenance engineering, you could also take up this route. Okay. Now, what's the difference of all 3 pathways? Part 147 is a basic training. A basic training is the basic training you need to become a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer. Some students think, oh, it's a basic training, there should be an advanced training as well. No, there's no such thing called advanced training. It's just basic training. Okay. Within this basic training, you will have 2,400 hours of both theory and practical. Okay. Once you complete that, you will get a certificate of recognition. That is the certificate you get, and then you can start finding or looking for a job. Okay. Now, in a Part 147 framework, there are 4 elements that every school has to do. Element number 1 is theoretical training. You sit in a classroom and you study. Second one is theoretical assessment. We call the EASA exams as well. If you're going B1.1, you got 13 modules. As you can see, B2, you got 12 modules. Okay. Once you complete the theoretical training, you will sit for an exam. And when you pass all these modules, you are done with the theoretical side. But within a Part 147, there's 2 more elements. That is practical training and practical assessment. You will be taught how to work with aircraft systems, and also one of your instructors will test your ability to work with aircraft systems and your understanding about aircraft maintenance environment. So these 4 elements should be there: theoretical training, theoretical examination, practical training, practical examination. So all 4 of these things combined together, we call there is 2,400 hours, both theory and practical. Now, the skilled trade route is different. They might not complete the 2,400 hours, or they might not complete few of the elements of the 4. However, individual countries or national aviation authorities recognize some of the training, and they say if you complete the modules, your students, when they go into aviation maintenance, they only need 3 years of experience to become a licensed. We'll get to experience in a bit. Okay, so we need to understand this clearly. Under EASA, I did mention there are 31 member states. Okay, so within these member state countries, okay, individual countries or the competent authority of individual countries we call national aviation authorities. Now, for example, let's just say there is an automotive technician training in Germany, and the National Aviation Authority of Germany says, look, your training is good. We are happy to accept it. You can become a skilled trade institution. Okay. Now, students from that automotive training can do the EASA modules, and then they can find a job, and then they can start working as an aircraft technician. That is just an example. I don't know whether there's any training schools like that, but a good example would be military schools. Now, military and civil aviation are two different things. So there are some countries that they approve the military training as a skilled trade route. So these people, when they complete their training, they have to do the EASA modules, okay, those 12 or 13 modules I told you earlier, and then they need to show experience to become a licensed aircraft engineer. And the other one is, schools that are not approved by any of the civil aviation authorities, or it's approved by a civil aviation authority other than EASA, or some private students who wants to take up aircraft maintenance engineering, they can go with the third option. So for example, within Aerolaunch, we got Aviation, which is a basic training, a full 147 program who delivers both theory and practical, and the 2,400 hours. Upon graduation, you will get the certificate of recognition. And we got TSI Latvia, who's also a part 147. However, they do not comply with all 4 elements. Students are given the theoretical training. They're also being given the theoretical examination if the student wants to take it. Then there are practical elements and there are practical assessments. However, it does not comply to that 2,400 hours. Hence, this school is considered as a skilled trade route under the Latvian Civil Aviation Authority. So any student who has the degree certificate of TSI, it's a 4-year degree program, who has the degree certificate of TSI with the examination certificate, they can apply to Latvian Civil Aviation Authority to get their license in 3 years. Now, this might not be the same story if the students complete in Latvia and go to a different country. For example, Italy. They might not agree with the TSI curriculum. For example, you complete your TSI program, you go to Italy with your first job. And then now your training might not be approved by the ENAC. Okay, why? Because the skilled trade route was an agreement between the Latvian Civil Aviation Authority and TSI. Italy would say, we don't agree. So what they might do is, they might talk to Latvian Civil Aviation, make sure that they are in compliance, both these member states. And then they might give you the same privileges. If they did not give you the same privileges, then you might have to do 5 years of experience in order to get your license. Okay, so if you go to TSI, try to apply for the Latvian license so you can get those privileges. Okay, that is your skilled trade route. And the other program is programs that are not approved by the Civil Aviation Authority. Okay, or students who wants to take private examinations can also go through this route. Now you completed either one of your training, now you need to find a job. Why? The next letter is E, experience. What is crucial is the amount of experience you need to become a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer, or let me rephrase it, to hold a blank aircraft maintenance license is different if you take each route. So if you go to a Part 147 school, you need 2 years of base maintenance experience to be applied to your blank aircraft maintenance license. Okay, now my fellow aircraft maintenance colleagues might throw comments at me saying, oh, it's not base maintenance experience, you can also become through line. Yeah, you can become an aircraft maintenance engineer by working on line maintenance. If you want a video on line and base maintenance, drop a comment below. I will bring that to you. Yeah, you just need a maintenance experience. However, it is easy if you go into a base maintenance environment. Now, base maintenance experience is you will see an aircraft within a hangar and then they do major maintenance. Line maintenance is you usually see the aircraft maintenance done in line or in the apron. Those are minor maintenance. So the reason I say base maintenance experience is because you'll be working with systems more thoroughly, or you will go in depth into the systems rather than line maintenance. So if you go into a base maintenance environment, 2 years you can apply for your license. Now if you go to a skilled trade institutions that is approved by the National Aviation Authority of that country, then you need 3 years of experience. And then if you go into a non-approved program or a private route, then you need 5 years of experience. What happened to me was I went to an educational consultancy thinking that they know the best. So I told them I want to become an aircraft maintenance engineer. They pointed me at this school in Malaysia, went there, and then only I knew my school wasn't approved by even the Malaysian Civil Aviation Authority, no EASA. So I had to spend 5 years of experience instead of where I could have done it in 2 years or 3 years. So I have to admit though, even though the school wasn't approved by the Civil Aviation Authority or EASA, the lecture panel or the panel of professors who taught me are highly intelligent. To this date, I have connections with them, I talk to them, and they are well experienced people, and I will never ever forget the knowledge they have given me, and I am where I am now because of them. Now this is a classic example. No matter how good the panel of professors are, if your school is not approved in aircraft maintenance engineering, it's obsolete. Okay, so I did mention about different experience levels. So after you complete your training, either way, you need to find a job. Now you need to go into something called a Part 145. A Part 145 is nothing but a maintenance organization, approved maintenance organization. So when you go into one of them, you will have to start filling in your logbook. Every task you do, you need to put the date, put the aircraft type, the engine type, and there's something called ATA references. I'll bring a video on that too. And you need to start filling in logbooks. Now, if you're from a Part 147, you fill it for 2 years. If you're from a trade school, 3 years. If you're from a private school, 5 years. Okay, let's just say you have completed your experience now. Okay, 2, 3, or 5. And you have your logbook, you have the certifications from school. Now you need something called EASA Form 19, and that is the application form for initial license and also any amendments you're going to have on the license. Okay, so let's start. You have your experience, now you have your logbook, you have the certifications from school. Now you need to send it to your National Aviation Authority. Once you send it to the National Aviation Authority, if you have completed everything all right, they will issue a blank aircraft maintenance license. That is the L of the TELT, which is license. Why blank? Blank because you are still not an aircraft maintenance engineer. You are a licensed aircraft maintenance technician. So what do you need to become a licensed aircraft maintenance engineer? Because it's a blank, you should need something to fill it so you can become an aircraft maintenance engineer. Imagine this way. You get your license, a blank aircraft maintenance license, and it automatically gives you the privilege to sign off any aircrafts in the world. That's not good, right? You need to make sure that you know and understand and knows how to work on one type of an aircraft. So that's why you need something called type rating, the last T. Now type ratings also, there are 3 kinds of them. General familiarization, level 1, and then ramp and transit, level 2, and type rating, level 3. Okay. For an endorsement on a Part 66 license or aircraft maintenance license, you need a level 3. Okay. Here also you have 4 elements: theoretical training, theoretical assessment, practical training, practical assessment. And you need to get this type rating done in a Part 147. There are some 145 organizations or aircraft maintenance organizations that give you the type rating as well. But the best thing is to do it from a 147 school. Now, once you complete the type rating, you have your blank aircraft maintenance license, you have a certificate for both practical and theory training you have completed, and even this certificate we call certificate of recognition. Remember, the basic training certificate also certificate of recognition. This is also certificate of recognition. Okay, so you have both of them, and this is your first type rating. Now, still you can't apply. Why? Because the regulations say if this is your first type rating, you need something called on-the-job training. Okay, or some people call it structured on-the-job training. That is, you need to complete tasks under a mentor and then get it approved by them. And after that, there will be a senior engineer who will be testing you. Once you complete the structured on-the-job training, you compile your blank aircraft maintenance license, you get your certificate of recognitions, this time the level 3 type rating certificates, okay, and the on-the-job training logbook, and also the assessment form if your company does one. And then you raise a EASA form 19 again for amendments. You remember, form 19 is for the initial license as well as any amendments. So now you are going to make an amendment to your blank aircraft maintenance license, that is to get the endorsement into your license. So now you are a fully licensed aircraft maintenance engineer. Okay. However, there is one more thing to become a proper aircraft maintenance engineer, and that is your company approval. There is an authorization given by the quality management system of your company saying that we are happy for you to become a licensed engineer at our organization. So that is the route to become an aircraft maintenance engineer. If you have any clarification questions, so I can learn as well, drop them down in the comment section. Or if you have any advice for me, drop them down in the comment section. And if you think this channel, what I'm trying to do with this channel, of course with your help, is that make this one of the best professional development channels for aircraft maintenance engineering. So I can't do it alone, I need your help. So if you think and if you want to be part of this journey, I would say let's start it. Let's start with subscribing to the channel, liking a video, and also maybe share it with your friends so they get the same knowledge as you. You know, professional development, let's grow together. I'll come back with another video. Until then, keep fixing.